We're here with Jones today. We're going to talk about some pro wrestling. We're going to talk about your career. We're going to talk about all kinds of different stuff. So, buddy, how
Awesome.
you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Just got in for my shoot job not long ago, and
Yeah.
if you hear my son's in the background somewhere, but
Oh, that's all right,
hopefully he
dude.
doesn't pop in.
Yeah, that's all right, man. So I know you've been with WWA for quite a while. I mean, a pretty good
Yep.
time. Is
Yep.
that the only place? Is that the only promotion you've been with, or have you been
Um,
kind of other places? I know in indie shows it's kind of murky as far as where you're going,
yeah,
stuff like that.
I've done some stuff here and there with some of the other guys. Like they're through COVID, it was kind of hard for getting places to work,
Sure.
like finding places to wrestle. So like a group of us would go to like Rocket City Championship Wrestling. It was like Alabama. We've been, I can't remember the promotion, but like me and Stonewall have been to West Virginia to wrestle for some, I can't remember the promotion. I think it was Big Time Pro Wrestling. Um, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but I just can't remember. But mainly WWA, though. I've been, just a couple shots here and there, but mainly WWA.
Sure. And and you've been a multi-champion with WWA.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a tag
Yeah.
champ. You've been the Kentucky Classic champ. You've also been the national
Mm-hmm.
champion, and you've been at the top at the WWA championship. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of championships, man. That's a pretty good deal. A big show coming up. We'll go ahead and talk about that real quick, where you get another chance
Yeah.
to get your hands on the WWA championship at
Right.
WWA's Kentucky's Biggest Battle Royal. So this is one of their
Right.
bigger. This is one of their bigger shows.
Right.
So I believe the story is Stonewall's one, you're number two. Is that right?
Unfortunately, yes. So that stipulation was brought to my attention at the last Bowling Green event. So our director of operations, Randall Shane, made that stipulation. So we'll see how that goes. You never know what obviously can happen, but
Right.
that is unfortunately my stipulation right now is I have to enter with Stonewall at the beginning of this thing.
Right. And then, I mean, I know you and Stonewall have had some matches in the past, and he's been a staple at WWA
Yeah,
as well. Both of you had a lot of time together.
absolutely.
And I just want to ask on when you have these battle royals,
Uh-huh.
obviously you don't want number one or number two. We all know that from
Right.
watching Royal Rumbles or watching other stuff everywhere else. You don't want one and two. So
No.
I know it's going to be a long night for you. And
Uh-huh.
what kind of is what I want to say? I mean, you guys you're going to be in there for a while, and you kind of got to prepare
Yeah.
yourself to be there. And
Yeah.
is it more fun or is it more work to do a battle royal?
I think it's a lot of work. And what people may not realize is battle royals are super dangerous.
Mm.
Like with the ring being so busy, like with a bunch of different people, like sometimes like oh, here's my Derek Neal. I don't know if you know Derek Neal. There's Derek
Oh
Neal
yeah.
plug there. um just with the ring so crowded and like you might not know everybody, so you might not be used to somebody else's working style, right? So like the ring gets super busy and it can be super dangerous. Actually, like 2 years ago, people might not know it, and if people listen, they can go back. It wasn't last year in Evansville or Indiana's biggest battle royal. It was like 2 years ago, I think. I took a crossbody, or I was taking it, or somebody gave me a crossbody, and I got knocked out
Oh
cold.
yeah. Dude, that's
Yeah, like I
brutal,
was
man.
laid out in the middle. Yeah, and I stayed in. I never rolled out, but somebody picks me up and brings me back. And I was actually, I think it was when Nick Depp, the Blunatic won the battle
Okay.
royal, and it was down to me and CCW, and I was loopy. Like I finally
Yeah.
came back, but I got like as soon as I catch on that crossbody, lights out. I was
Yeah.
knocked out. And I finally came, like, people brought me up, and I finally came back to my senses, and I ran through the rest of the show. But that was that was an interesting series. So I hope I don't get knocked out because these
Sure.
battle royals can be dangerous.
I mean, yeah, because you're right. Because I mean, it does get full, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get away from WWE for just a second. What got
Uh-huh.
you into pro wrestling? Like, what was it? Was it a certain wrestler? Was it an event or a show?
So I was in elementary school, and a friend of mine was talking about pro wrestling, talking about Monday Night Nitro, right? And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. So as I was navigating, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Monday Night Nitro. And I can't remember exactly the match, but it was like the Steiner brothers versus somebody. And this was like fresh Nitro. Like,
Mhm.
when did they revamp it? 97 or something, 98, like
Yeah.
somewhere. I can't remember, somewhere in there where they had like it was the white mats with the flames on the ring sides
Okay. Yeah.
and stuff. And dude, it was like that. That's all it took. Like it was
Yeah.
a wrap after that. Like I was mainly a WCW
Sure.
kid, but Sting was my
Oh
ultimate.
yeah, dude.
He was my bread and butter.
Yeah.
But also like all the cruiserweight stuff, like Juventud Guerrero and Eddie and Chavo and Dean Malenko, like that whole, and Ultimo Dragon, like that Psychosis. I can just name on and on, but that whole cruiserweight era. And if you see me wrestle, I don't wrestle like that because I cannot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that whole era of wrestling was amazing, and it's kind of different than like what WWF back in the day was bringing to the table. But also, um, there was a local movie store in my town, and they had a big wall of it was just like a big section of old pay-per-views, like WWF and stuff like that. And my grandma would take me there, so I got a mix of both. I still got some WWF in because like I'd watch all the Royal Rumbles and stuff like that, but I still watched WCW. But that's pretty much what got me in. And actually, to just go off of like the piggybacking off of that, I actually went on a Bruise Cruise, which was WCW's cruise back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in '98. I went on a Bruise Cruise as well,
Oh,
so
dude.
that was pretty fucking fun.
I was a big WCW kid. I remember I started watching in the very
Yeah,
beginning of Nitro, like at the Mall of America. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, dude,
okay,
WCW,
yeah.
they're cruiserweights. You can't
Oh,
say
I just
enough about
realized your
it.
shirt too, dude.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
got a
got my
WCW shirt
WCW
on
shirt on
too.
today.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, yeah, you mentioned a lot of their cruiserweights. One that I always liked watching was Silver King. I don't know
Okay,
if you remember him or not. And
I do not.
but Dean Malenko, probably one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Oh, absolutely. And I wish I never got into the holds.
Yeah.
All the man of a thousand, whatever. But I like to this day. Spoiler alert: I can't still put on a figure four to save my life. Like
Yeah.
I've done this stuff for like 8 or 9 years, and I still can't do a figure four. But like I think I can do a Texas cloverleaf and stuff like that, which Malenko did,
Right. Yeah.
which is amazing. It's just different stuff.
Right on, man. I don't want to say there's not very many WCW fans because there are, but a lot of people
Yeah,
lean more towards WWF,
yeah.
especially in that era. I mean, you had Stone Cold and The Rock and Undertaker. You had
Oh, yeah.
all that great talent, but WCW
Absolutely.
is a great place to watch. And that is just old school wrestling to me.
Oh yeah,
Is what
I
WCW was.
still will reference a bunch of that stuff. Like especially if I want to see something different,
Hmm.
I'll go back and reference a bunch of
Yeah.
WCW stuff because even like when they would bring in like Piper and stuff,
Yeah.
like they had like Piper and Flair and stuff like that in that era,
Yep.
like that. I don't know. And I'm forgetting Regal. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Regal. He did
Yeah.
some stuff in there too. So like, there's a bunch of material there if you really wanted to go back and study stuff.
Sure. The
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, what if you had a dream match? Who would that dream match be against?
Ooh. Any promotion
Anywhere.
or like me wrestling or other people wrestling?
Either way, you can do both. We can
Yeah.
do that.
I there was that as far as like independent talent, like I can say that too. I'll just kind of piggyback off that once
Sure, that's
again.
fine.
But independent talent, there's a hang on, I'm gonna let my dog out behind me. Hey,
That's
there
all
we go.
right.
Um independent talent, Warhorse,
Okay.
Jake Parnell,
Yeah.
like he's an amazing talent. But I really want to wrestle. So I was a really big Goldust fan,
Hmm.
Dustin Rhodes. So like
Yep.
in Dustin Rhodes' carnation now, I would love to wrestle him.
Yeah.
But I think I would like I don't know if they would do it, but Dustin Rhodes versus Sting, I think that would be really. I mean, it's been done before, right? But
Well,
like,
I don't know if we when he was the natural, I don't know if he did, but
yeah,
they probably have at some point in time. They had to have. When you think,
yeah,
I
I would
mean,
say back then, but yeah, I
speaking
would
of,
think. But man, let's do it now.
sure, why not? I mean, they're both
All
still
right,
going, so who cares?
right,
And
right.
speaking of when Rhodes was the natural, Dustin Rhodes, did you ever see the semi trailer match when they would it was in WCW back in the day.
I
Uh,
don't. Yeah,
They
I don't
it
think I
wasn't that
have, but
it wasn't bad. It was just kind of the semi's going down the road and the guy had to make it to get the front of the semi, and it's fun to
yeah,
watch. It's one of those fun matches if you
I'm
really
sure
want
it's
to
a
watch something back in the day.
probably a train wreck.
But
Um, I do like I still see clips every now and then surfacing, like when Dustin Rhodes wrestled. Who was it? Was it Piper in like a parking lot brawl, or what was
oh
it? It
yeah, it
was
was
some
like
type
that
of
was a WrestleMania.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know what you're
And they
talking about.
just beat the shit at each other. Apparently,
That's when
like
they made it like the OJ Simpson
yes,
the chase
yeah, yeah,
down the
yeah.
highway. It was,
Oh,
yeah,
it
I
was a
remember watching. That was the same thing. I rented the video at the local video store and I'm watching it. I'm like,
yeah,
wait a minute, I've seen this kind of stuff before. And
right,
it was the OJ chase, is what it was.
right.
And then I want to move on to your move, the murder go round.
Yeah,
Now, I know because I'm a little bit older. I know where I've seen the murder
huh?
go round before. I don't know if younger fans would have
Yes,
seen it, but kind of talk about where you kind of
huh?
got that idea to this is going to be my signature and this is what I'm going to use.
So I knew I could do it, but I owe a lot that one a lot to Ray Waddell, because when I first came into WWA, I was just like having him at like like almost like a dark match, but like not on a
Mhm.
show, you know.
Yeah.
It was just like seeing what I like. They were kind of gauging what I do, and I was wrestling Nick Depp, and I pulled it out, and you know it. I got it. There's two different places that I got that from. So you know, of course, the Abyss, Black Hole Slam, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's essentially what it is. But also, Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever, you
Yep.
know, whichever incarnation you want to talk about. I think he called it the truck stop,
I think
if I'm
so.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he would. Well, hang on, There's a lot of cats and dogs in this house. This is my English Mastiff coming in right now, but um, so I really got it from Luke Harper, because like when he would do it, like he would just like I've never tried it because I never wanted to make it look bad, but like he would do it like when people were jumping off the top rope, and he would just snatch them and
Right.
go, man, like it was insane. But it was kind of a mixture between Abyss and Brody Lee when they would do it. Um, but the name was given like Murder Go Round. That was strictly Ray Waddell. He came up with that.
And that's a great name for a
Um,
signature.
but also, yeah. So, and I do it. I don't know, like Abyss, when he would do it, he didn't put as much spin on it. Sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. But I think when I was younger, like in like 2017, 18, I would put more spin on it. But I'm almost 35 now, so the spin doesn't happen as much as it used
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It's still kind of the same, but it's a good. I love that move. I can pretty much hit it. I don't think I've ever failed miserably doing it, so
Mhm.
I can hit it on just about anybody.
Mhm.
Um, but actually, a funny story is I did me and Nick Depp did a seminar with Abyss. It was I think it was Larry D's promotion. I can't remember what his promotion is, but anyway, he had Abyss on a show and he did a seminar, and me and Nick Depp were in the ring. He's like, "You better hit that black hole slam." I was like, "No, looking back on it, I should have.
Sure.
Like it wouldn't have mattered,
Yeah.
but just to see what he thought of mine. But also, that was a crippled Nick Depp, and Nick Depp just won Prince of the Death match, and Nick Depp had a rod put in his arm, and he was in a cast. So I was
Oh,
wrestling
yeah.
a broken down and crippled Nick, and he was asking me to hit a move on him, and I just wasn't comfortable hitting because he was pretty fresh off of that surgery, so I decided not to. But there you go. There's a little. I almost hit it right in front of Abyss, but I did not.
That's still pretty cool though, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one, you're do
Yep.
you do something very similar to Abyss, but then get to, I'm guessing you got to talk to him and get some kind of dialogue or something about wrestling with him. That's still pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. I mean,
Oh
that,
yeah.
that's one of the things about I'm like watching WWA with my son and being to the events. And I talked to Ray Waddell about this too, was
Yeah.
getting to meet some of the quote unquote legends, some of the older pro wrestlers who had been around. And
Yeah.
with indie wrestling, you guys really get, I mean, I know it's not a performance center, or
Yeah.
anything like that, but you guys get a really great opportunity to talk to a lot of really great minds in wrestling. And
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm guessing you take full advantage of that. I mean, surely you would to want to get higher up.
Yeah, to an extent though, because sometimes in that mindset, and I don't know if any of the rookies are going to listen to this, but you got to kind of think about it as they're your coworkers
Sure.
in a sense, so you can't like harp on them too hard because
Yeah.
then you just seem like you're in a we're all fans, and I never took pictures, like everybody
Mm,
nowadays is like always take the picture, and I never did because we
yeah.
were always surrounded with a bunch of great talent. But I
Right.
would always talk, like when we brought in the Rock and Roll Express, like Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, man, like
Yeah.
those guys were a blast. Like just hearing the stories and stuff, especially when we were in the Coliseum, like just hearing all the old stories about the Coliseum and stuff. That was purely amazing. And then like Rikishi, when Rikishi came in, he was super cool.
Yeah.
Like that was a blast having him. He was really respectful and nice.
That's awesome. I mean, that's, yeah, you guys have this just great way. And that's what, I mean, it doesn't happen so much now, but it did. I mean, I remember the Boogeyman being there, Jeff Jarrett,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Glacier, Animal, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up the Coliseum. I've asked every WWA wrestler that I've talked to so far, with the Coliseum, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
down for like 2 years.
Yeah.
How much does the Coliseum mean to you as far as pro wrestling?
Ooh, it means a lot because I've actually my big title wins, like my WWA title win, that was in that building. When I first won the national title, that was in that building. So a lot of my big moments of like my career, like I got match of the year 2 years ago with Ray Waddell in our fans bring the weapons match. Like that happened in that building, and I had a brutal thumbtack match in that building. So like that building, like, and also bring up like Logan Legit, like when he was with us, me and him had a lot of our good matches in that building too. So like
Yeah.
that building like means a lot. And actually that's the first time I ever met Logan was his first show when he came to the company was like his debut, like he did a promo. It was actually in that building. So that building, man, like it brings up so many memories because like in that building, like to peek behind the curtain a little bit, those were a day of setup too. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to get there like kind of early to set up that show. So we would always show up kind of early in the morning to set up Evansville shows. And oh, there's just a lot of memories that go back
Yeah.
with that building. I'm going to miss it. Like that building is amazing.
And that's what, yeah, I mean, I've tried to explain that to people too, because I mean, really, I don't know what else it's used for, I mean, I know they have some other things at the Coliseum, but for pro wrestling, that's an
Bingo.
I think it is bingo. But
Yeah.
for wrestling, that is an incredible venue. It's
Oh, absolutely.
to me, it's just the right size, especially for what you guys do. Obviously, you
Right.
want bigger crowds, but
Obviously, yeah.
the fan experience there, that second tier, you go up to the balcony.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than the Ford Center in Evansville.
Yeah, I've never been a spectator for a wrestling show there, but
Mhm.
I bet it'd be pretty interesting sitting up there. Like I've had friends and stuff that would come to shows and they're like, "Oh, we like sitting up there," you know.
Yeah,
So
you can
I bet
see
it would be
everything.
cool. Right. Right.
So I do want to ask you this because you do have the
Mm-hmm.
the battle royal coming up, and it's
Yeah.
about stipulation or gimmick matches, and you just talked about some of the ones that you were in at the Coliseum.
Uh-huh.
What
Yeah.
is, and it doesn't have to be one that you were in, but what would be
Yeah.
like your favorite gimmick or stipulation pro wrestling match?
My favorite, especially like we can just say like the ones I've been in. Like I would say that fans bring the weapons match hands down was my favorite.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I don't mind like straight up hardcore, but like man, that shit sucks. Like I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
You're
curse or
fine.
not, but
You're all
man,
right.
okay, that that shit hurts, man. Like people don't realize like sometimes those trash can lids, like if you buy the wrong one, it's got the handle on it.
Yeah.
Like those things are stiffer than fuck. Like those things hurt.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think some of the other ones, but like steel cages, I think they suck. Like especially setting up the thing, setting up a steel cage is awful.
Yeah.
But I just think like you know you watch steel cage matches like on TV and like they have cameras on the inside and stuff, and you
Mhm.
can see a lot. From a fan's perspective, like I don't see the appeal of an independent cage match
Right.
because you can barely see them there. And I've worked, I think, two of them, maybe just one, but I would say that's my least favorite would be the cage.
Yeah.
But I'd say my favorite it was probably fans bring the weapons because that was just wild.
Oh yeah, and that's my son and I have seen a few of those too at the WWA shows, and
Uh,
they are fun because
mm.
you get goofy stuff sometimes, and I
Oh
always like
yeah, like you.
I always like seeing the staple gun spot or the stapler
Oh gosh,
with the
yeah,
dollar. I always think it's a great spot. It's so cool to see.
yeah, yeah,
But you were talking about the cage. For me, I get what you're saying. If it's the
yeah.
chain link, it's tough to see inside.
Yes.
But that's why I really love the old blue steel cage because you can
Oh blue.
see straight through it.
I was at Target. I was at Target not too long ago, and they had a big. What did they call it? Old blue or big blue? I can't remember what they
I can't
call it.
remember.
I think they might be big blue or old. I can't remember, but they had a toy of like the whole ring set up with that
Yeah,
cage, and I'm sure that thing is easier to climb. And everything about that cage has to be a lot easier. Like setting it
sure.
up and everything. It's
Yeah,
probably heavier, but for the fans' perspective too, you can see in the thing. Like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I loved it. I mean, I can remember watching Bundy and Hogan. I think one of the WrestleManias, and it was
right.
you could see everything. You didn't have to worry about you know having to well, the cameraman's in the wrong spot. You can't see this because of a post or something like that. But
Right.
yeah, man. Where are we at? What else we got here? We've talked about stuff. Oh, I did want to ask you this because when I should ask you
Uh-huh.
this when we were talking about the murder go round. Do you
Yeah.
think that, and this is just as a fan, and you probably have
Yeah.
an opinion about this as being in pro wrestling anyway. Do you think we need to go back to signatures or finishers being more protected than watching? And I'm not criticizing anyone for doing this, but in a way, I'm going to say
Yeah.
it's probably going to sound that way. It seems like if you watch a match anymore, you may see 5 or 6 different you know what I mean? It's different
Yeah.
signatures and then just stuff like that. So do you think they should be more protected?
Absolutely 100,000% yes. I can count on at least one hand. I am almost for sure. I think it's only 3 or 4 people that I've let kick out of mine.
Mhm.
Like throughout I'm pretty sure it's only at least 5, but I'm pretty sure it's almost 4 people that I've let kick out of that.
Yeah.
It's why build up a match to the point where, if it's going to be your finish, that if you're just hitting it a lot and not getting a 3 count, it takes away of the
Right.
allure of having a finish,
Yeah.
And I just don't, and it really goes through me. Like when you have your big pay-per-view matches, right? And you get to the back end, like the falsies and this, your back end going towards a finish, and they're kicking out, they're hitting 3 to 4, they'll hit the finish over and over and over again. It's like, come on, man. And I know what they're after. They're after that 1, 2.
Sure. Yeah.
They're after that. But it goes through me. Because you would pop me more if you just hit it out of nowhere and got a 3 count. It would, I'll be like, all right, good, done.
Well,
but if you hit that same thing 3 times, I'm out.
Did you watch the Fatal 4-Way last weekend with Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and all them?
Yes.
That is the closest I've seen to where I was okay with somebody getting out or of a finisher not being protected. When Randy Orton hit the RKO on everybody and then Solo pulled the ref.
Yeah.
That was probably the best way you could have done it to me.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Because I legit thought they're going to put the title back on Randy Orton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I was like, oh man, this is really going to happen. So that's kind of one of those close calls or near fall. That's like, oh man, they're really going to do it.
He hit it multiple times and then probably bought time to go. Yeah, it made sense.
I mean, I'm glad you're on that same page as me. I want them to be protected. I'm old school about it. I
can go on and on. There's so many things you can spin off. I guess like Penta and Orange Cassidy were no-selling Canadians the other day on TV. So
yeah. Which I mean, I guess we're close to the same age. So we're from that time when a big move was hit. That was it, man. That was everybody's going to roar or everybody's going to boo. And now, like the super kick has kind of made its way to the DDT realm of being used all the time. Yeah. So I'm glad to see you're on the same page with me as that one.
Absolutely.
All right, dude, we're going to wrap it up. You got any socials or places where you can have people follow you?
I think Instagram is like Jones Wrestle, I think. Facebook is Jones Nation, and that's completely because I just go, but originally the name comes from, Jim Jones, like the cult leader, like drink the Kool-Aid and all that. That's where all of my stuff originates from, but I could not take Jim Jones unless I had, because it was like a historical event, so I couldn't take that without government proof, like an ID that is my actual name. So I was like, because I was going to have one of my original ideas was going to be like, hey, the Jim Jones Nation or something like that. But that all got scrapped and I just had Jones Nation. But anyway, Jones Nation on Facebook, and then Instagram, I think it's just Jones Wrestle.
Awesome, dude. And remember, everybody, you can check out my stuff on Instagram at Wrestleverse. Like the pages, subscribe, share it, comment, tell me what you think. And that's it. Thanks, man, for joining me. Good luck to you on the Battle Royal this weekend.
Thank you.
This weekend, next weekend.
Next week.